Hi guys, if you saw my little Temu haul, you saw these embossed faux leathers. I want to put them on tumblers. That's what I got these for. And it's cold and snowy and I haven't worked on anything, so I'm going to make a note that I need to prep another one this way for what it was originally earmarked for. But I think this goes great with this blue and like blush colored leather. So this got like folded up kind of terribly in the Temu package. So I'm going to try to use my handheld heat press to flatten it out before I start using it. And then I have this ready to go. This is the 3M Super 77 multi-purpose adhesive spray. I was nervous when I ordered these about the size of the sheets because I was like, they might not fit, but because they wouldn't fit wrapped that way, but on a 20-ounce skinny they will fit this direction without I don't even think I have to trim it down. I might just trim the tiniest little sliver off just to give a little bit more of a gap for the epoxy to grab the cup. But yeah, they'll actually work pretty well. So I'm gonna grab my trimmer, and we know that we need to be about 9.2. I'm lining it up to see what part of the print I'm going to get. I think I want the dragonfly that's more in. So how do you want to cut it this way? And this is 9 1/4. So it's probably going to be a little bit long yet. Actually, alright, well I kind of screwed that up because I didn't realize that the edge was not even. But it'll actually need to be stretched a tiny bit. So I didn't pay attention that this corner was rounded off a little bit. And I need to cut a tiny bit off the top or the bottom. Doesn't really matter which. So we're going to dry fit it again. I may have to cut a little bit off the bottom as well, just to even it up a little bit. So let's see if that straightens her out. So on the last video I did where I used embossed leather, I have questions about if you can still see the embossing under epoxy. Yes, you can. But you're not going to feel the texture by the time you add a couple of coats. That's all. The texture is going to go away a little bit. So I'm going to go in a ventilated area and spray this quick onto the back side of this, and then I'll be back. Okay, so this is sprayed. So I'm gonna put my cup here, and this is gonna be super sticky. So I'm just gonna try and get it placed somewhat. I'm just gonna push those edges in till they meet. And I'm going to put a little bit of painter's tape on this just to hold it for now. I don't think the painter's tape will hurt this, even though it's coated. I'm going to trim that edge just a tiny bit. I don't know where my good blade is. I just want this little tail off of here. Okay. So I think I'm pretty well sealed, top and bottom. I think I want to put a little bit of my Touch of Rose Diamond Dust just on the bottom, just to give it a little sparkle. So I'm going to So this is Eileen's Tack It Over and Over. I'll put a little bit in there. And I add roughly 50% water. Just to thin it down some. If I was doing like a full-on Tack It method burnishing, I would apply 2 coats, but because I'm just using a fine layer of this Diamond Dust, 1 coat is going to be plenty. That's actually still a little thick. There we go. So, because I'm just doing this as 1 coat, I'm not really worried about drying it or anything. I just want a little bit of shimmer. And I did finally order some new Touch of Rose, and a new touch of neon. And I ordered on Wildcard Wednesday, so I got a free Fighter Pink Chunky Mix Glitter and Cherish Water Relief, which is a really pretty color. So But I did finally stack up on the 2 diamond dusts I needed. So I'm just going to carefully go around the edge. This little piece of paper will work fine. Okay, so I'm just going to let this sit and dry. Like I said, I don't plan to burnish it really. I'm just going to let it dry and then brush off any excess after it's dried a bit. So I'll be back when we're ready for the next step. Okay, so I am ready to move on with this. I am just going to take a brush and brush off any excess. Move this a second. This is just a chip brush. I'm just not going to intentionally add any more additive to the epoxy. If it's got a little bit, it's got a little bit from travel, that's all. So we're going to carefully peel our tape that was holding that down. And it's been several days at this point, so it's good and well stuck. Alright, so I'm going to get my epoxy mixed up, and we are going to get our first coat on here. Okay, my epoxy is mixed, turner is on, and this is just going to be a thin, clear coat. In the past, I have spray sealed the vinyl leather, whatever you want to call it. I've realized that's not necessary, so we're not doing that. And this is going to take several coats to get the dip of the leather smoothed out and even. But I'm kind of concentrating on just the faux leather first, and then we'll move on to the bottom. Do you see how the epoxy kind of made that pop? I love it. Okay, I'm going to run my finger along the edge to try and seal in that lip some. And then I'm going to start working the bottom. I'm just going to kind of pat it on to start. And then smooth it out. And then I'm just going to kind of do the same with my finger, run along the edge on the bottom. You have to keep in mind the leather is relatively thick, so you do have to take some care around the edge. Alright, so we're going to let this coat dry, and then we will be back for the next coat. Okay, oh, stuck to my paper. This is how we're looking after one coat. It's actually pretty smooth. So we're going to get another coat on. So this is dry now, and this bottom edge is fantastic. That's how the bottom looks. It's a little streaky, not perfect, but it's fine. A little rough spot here that'll cover on the final coat. So what I would do with this at this point is clean up the top and the bottom. If I needed to do any sanding, now's the time. So if I don't feel like doing my flap wheel, I just grab a blade. And scrape any dried epoxy out. And I like to sand off the rim a little bit. I don't like to leave any epoxy on the very top rim. I've found sometimes if you do that, a whole ring of epoxy will lift off after the top has been on and off a couple times. So and I do like to sand at a slight angle around the top just to expose a little bit of stainless. And then I like to just take a paper towel and a tiny bit of acetone, nail polish remover, whatever your preferred acetone is, and clean off any excess spray paint or anything. I'm not getting any acetone over the epoxy. I don't want to soften the epoxy up. Sometimes I like to use a magic eraser for this. I don't have one handy in here right now, so. But sometimes that works a little bit better. Actually, I do see one. So if I'm using a magic eraser, I like to cut just a little piece so it doesn't get too saturated. And same thing. Oh, that was a lot. That's what I didn't want to do. But sometimes the inside of the cup is a little bit textured and the spray paint will be like stuck on there. So that's where the magic eraser can come in handy. So then you have a clean inside, a smooth outside, and you are ready to go back over and do your final coat. And I'll bring you over for the final coat, but we're not going to look at it again after. Again, this is a little bit streaky depending on the angle you're looking at it. I'm not worried about it. I'm pretty happy with it overall. Okay, my epoxy is mixed. I am ready to get this finished. This will be the final coat, third and final. When this is dry for cleanup, all I'll have to do is wash the inside, and if I got any over the rim, I will just peel that back out. That's all it's going to need. I do try to do the acetone step right before the final coats. That way it makes final cleanup that much easier, which is basically just taking it in the kitchen and washing it with Dawn dish soap. And if you did the acetone prior to this coat, if you dripped any on the cup and it made a dull spot on your epoxy, this coat fixes that. So that's why I try to do it at that point. So can you feel the texture? No. Can you see the texture? Yes. Because that's the biggest question I'm going to get, I know. So there you have it. Faux leather on a tumbler. Yes, it works. We've done it before. This was just a refresher of that video. I'll do another one with another one of these that will do a little bit different, not just a full wrap. And so the most important thing here is to make sure you have a little bit of a gap at the top so your epoxy is sealing to the tumbler, not just the vinyl, and to make sure that your vinyl, faux leather, whatever you want to call it, is completely sealed to the cup. That's why I highly recommend a good quality spray adhesive so you can ensure full coverage. But that is it. I think it's beautiful. I'm really happy with my bottom color choice, even though it's not perfect. It's an excellent match to this like peachy shimmer in the faux tooled leather. So that is it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.